Hello there, and there we go. Welcome to Real Talk with Angry Soccer Mom. Normally, this week's discussion topics would be anything that you want that you feel is newsworthy about racism, bigotry, and inequality in our lifetime. But the problem is we had a testimony by Colin today. So it looks like that is probably going to fill up most of our time. So realistically, I was thinking maybe we start with him and go from there. I have a ton of other stuff, but I think that's the topic of the day. So if you're here, please say hello. And I'm going to make sure we got set up here. And we have a lot to talk about because stuff is just, oh my gosh. I tried to watch a lot of it, but I didn't get to all of it. So Neil, hello. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much. It was a crazy day. So I'm going to start off with my normal spiel, and then we're going to go from there. And anybody who wants to say anything can jump right in. The show is meant to be an opportunity for viewers to speak their mind, speak your mind, and say what you want to say. But it's also just, I'm trying to do this as an educational tool for white people. Hey, Lakeisha, thanks for being here. I think white people need to learn the truth about systemic racism in America because it is way past time for us to educate ourselves about our real racial history. So before we get started, I wanted to explain to some of the new viewers why I'm always pushing this education agenda, constantly pushing education, and then we will get to the good stuff. Each new generation of white folks seems to take little or no racial responsibility for eliminating, or at least helping to eliminate systemic racism, helping to have some equity, equality for Black people, reparations. Wouldn't it be nice if we cared and actually jumped in and gave a shit about, sorry, I'll just say it, about our fellow humans? I just think it would be amazing if this generation could be the last generation of white folks and of everybody in this country that has this huge disconnect. White folks have this huge disconnect about the reality of our systemic racism that we made and created and built. We did this, yet we're oblivious to it. And it's insane. Anton, hello. You know I can't read that, but thank you for being here. I appreciate it, but everyone else can. Lakeisha, African Americans, descendants of slaves and reparations. Oh, yes. And that is something I had planned to talk about because it looks like three of the, I was going to talk about that, but I think we're going to start with the testimony. But oh yeah, that is a huge topic, and I'm going to get that in there somewhere. So just jump in because it's huge. I mean, it's time for us to break the cycle of racist white people passing it on from one generation. Les, hello. Thank you for being here. What we white folks do is we pass it on from one generation to the next. And it seems like we don't care. And don't get me wrong, white people are not saviors. That ship has sailed many centuries ago. We are not the leaders. We are not the saviors. It's way too late for any of that. But God forbid white Americans take some racial responsibility and help support real equality, real equity. We need to care about our fellow humans. Shan, hello. Oh my gosh, I'm happy that you're here. You're perfectly on time. Thank you. I can't wait for you to jump in because I want to hear what you have to say. So that's where education comes in. I mean, I personally feel like white folks need to give a shit and actually start caring and taking responsibility and taking notice and understanding our real racial history. So that's where the education comes in. So I'm a crazy education lady, but I mean, the fact is most white folks don't have a single solitary close friend who's not white. So they basically know nothing other than what the media or propaganda tells them. Hey, Don. I'm just reading what you're, thanks for being here. Who once called April further. Okay. Let me see what you have to say. Oh, Katrina, hello. Thanks for being here. I'm really psyched people are here, and we're going to have a nice talk. If you missed what I was first saying, is normally we'd talk about any topic there was that anyone felt like was about racism, bigotry, and inequality in America, which is pretty much everything. But today we're going to I'm going to do a little rant, and then we're going to start off with this testimony. So it was huge. Lynn Payton, who once called April Ryan Miss Piggy, further debased herself at Cohen's testimony. Eric Trump's former party planner showed up at a Michael Cohen's testimony. Oh my gosh. Yeah, things are getting crazy. And what I'm going to try to do is, she was paraded out as Trump's token. Yes, I know. We're going to, yo, boy, that was insane. And we're going to get to that. What I'm hoping to do is, well, we'll get to it. Oh, we're going to get to all this stuff. This was crazy. This is a crazy day for anybody. Did you guys watch it? Give me a yes if you did. Or a yes if you watched it, or if you just, saw clips in here and there, because it was a lot. So most white Americans don't have a single close friend, 75%, not a single close friend who's not white. Half the white adults in America still think that this is crazy. We're in a post-racial era. And yay, I know, Les, I know you did. It's awesome. Most white Americans have absolutely no stinking clue what happened during the 100 years plus after emancipation. They don't know. They don't get it. I think they think that people were just dancing in the streets, for 100 years. If they only knew the truth. Talmar, welcome to the show. And Katrina, yes, I watched it. The testimony was explosive today. Oh, it was crazy. And I know everyone has a lot to say. I'm going to just get through this really fast. And oh, wow. Don, yes, and insane postings by Trump supporters slamming the Cohen testimony and the entire process. Yeah, this nation's out of control. The truth is, about white folks, we're afraid to talk about our racial history. We're terrified to talk about it. And yeah, it's not good. So education is what I think is one of the only hopes of waking up these white folks who do not understand that their plight is absolutely intertwined with Black people and other people of color. Our ignorance on this topic keeps us absolutely in the dark. We'll never unite with everybody to face the real problems of this nation, because we love blaming Black people instead. That the real problem is the wealthiest elite are running this nation. Racism allows wealthy people to keep the social order so that they get wealthier and everyone else has to work their butt off. For a nation that boasts liberty and justice for all, we're not cutting it. We're not even close. We're disgusting. And I blame white people. I don't hate white people, but I blame them. We started it and we should freaking end it. Help to end it. Again, we're not leaders. We're no saviors, that's for sure. But my God, in order for us to help at least support our brothers and sisters who are Black, African American, Indigenous, Brown, we need to get this stuff and close the cognitive dissonance gap that is huge. The bottom line is, we care about profit. White folks care about profit over humans. And we're never going to get anywhere with this horrific, basically, we have bad morals. And I'm talking about white folks. Overall, I'm not talking about everybody, but overall, it's a system. It's not about individuals. So if this is your first time watching, thinking, oh, that lady's so mean, I'm talking about a system that we participate in. And what I'm trying to say is this. We each as individuals need to take an inventory and look to see what our part is in upholding systemic racism, because we're on a path to destruction. And with this false ideology that being kind and humanistic is somehow weak, that's disgusting. being a compassionate and fair human being is so much harder than being just a rotten jackass. I'm sorry. Anyone can be a horrible person. It doesn't take any skills. The harder road is the one obviously less followed, and it's the one where you do the right thing. So that being said, nothing speaks louder than this Cohen testimony that we heard today. So I'm going to start us off with a summary of the testimony. And I plan to follow the chronological order of the testimony because it was a lot of stuff. So please jump in with commentary, questions, and whatever you wish. And if I don't read your comment immediately, it might mean that I'm going to get to it because I'm going to try to be I end up being a little haphazard. So I'm going to try to be a little more in order. This is a lot. So let me start by taking people who have already commented. Yeah, Dawn, she was paraded out as Trump's token Black person to prove he wasn't racist. I saw that. And I actually posted something like, okay, did I just see what I just saw? We're going to talk about it. It was crazy. Katrina, yeah, you already said, okay, I got you already. Let me just see here. Neil, they should show the closed door meeting tomorrow. Oh, they're not going to, are they, Neil? I wish. That would be, I can't imagine. Mr. SF Black, anyone who thinks that this is a post-racial era we're living in is kidding themselves. Yeah, and absolutely. But I'm telling you, the surveys on this stuff have been consistent for years. People, it's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing to even say, but this is what they say. Some people think, I can't even say this with a straight face. It is such a joke. It is such denial. Some people say that after emancipation, there was equality. Okay, those people are on I'll take 3 of what they're on because clearly they're delusional. Some people say 1964 was when everything, to understand where these people are coming from is almost impossible. Some people say post-racial because of Trump. Because of Obama. White folks do not want to face the truth. Like I need to tell you that. Oh my God. So they'll just, it's unbelievable. But yeah, it's a joke. You're right. Let me find my spot. Let me see. Let me see. Less. They don't just they just don't care because it doesn't affect them. It's them. It's not in my neighborhood. They think probably less. Probably. So Neil, no. At this point, they're not going to show the closed door meeting. I doubt they would. What do you guys think? Just because they would have let us in. Today was pretty crazy. So what I'm going to do is, for anybody who didn't get to watch, I'm going to do a summary. But as I go along, jump in and on that topic, tell me what you think, okay? And I will do my very best to keep it kind of orderly because this was insanity. Oh, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. President Trump's former fixer and attorney, Michael Cohen, spoke publicly today, as we all know, for the first time that we actually got to hear a ton of stuff. He spoke to the House Oversight Committee. And the House Oversight and Reforms Committee is one of Congress's biggest panels, whose mandate is to investigate. The committee includes some of the, I say biggest mouths, I did not mean that, some of the most compelling voices, both allies and opponents. And as we saw today, boy, did they, for the most part, it was ugly. Don, I didn't see it, but it's been reported that a Fox News panel almost came to blows in a fight between the few honest journalists there and the diehard Trump supporters. Wow. I'll look into that. Thanks, Don. That's a huge piece of information. Thank you. Lakeisha, racist con man and cheat. Absolutely. That's what he is, and he surrounds himself with those people. So what's so crazy is after 2 years plus of listening to reports and speculations and listening to this man, this sick man, we finally got a look at some of the stuff inside the Trump campaign. And I want to know what you guys think. Cohen, apparently his testimony was voluntary. Although, it's kind of funny. I went back and forth. What did you guys, I want to ask a question. A lot of people said that this is how it was going down. I read different articles. I couldn't get the straight answer. So maybe you guys did. And I'm hoping you can help educate. The scoop was this, that the only thing he could do by lying is harm himself, that he could not help himself very much. But then I heard maybe he could help himself slightly with the New York stuff. And so I wasn't really sure. Can you tell me what you guys know about that? Because it was voluntary, but he kind of, it was interesting. It was really interesting. He kind of repented. I mean, I don't know the guy. He could be a great actor, but clearly he's really, really, hurt. Katrina, I wish we had a president that cared for all humans. The same, just lost you there for a second. Let me see. I am so sorry. Let me find you back again. It's kind of funny how, oh, your message went away. That's why. Okay. Lakeisha, did you see where he said about Black people while roaming a Black neighborhood? Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I have it. I have the quote too. Yeah. No, I have it. Okay. Lakeisha, Chicago. No, I have that. Don't you worry. I got as much as I could. And whatever I don't have tonight, I know you guys will help me fill in the blanks, because it's really, oh my God. So after all these years, we finally got to see what's going on. Apparently he wanted to discuss Trump's role in some of the crimes that he's pleaded guilty to last year. So let me see. Mr. S.F. Black. I recently saw pictures of the defaced tombstone of Black Panther Fred Hampton, which was shot up even in death while white supremacists won't leave him alone. Yeah. This nation, and I always say this, but it needs to be said. If there's any white folks watching, take what you think about this country, about how racist we are, multiply it times a gazillion, which of course there's no such thing, and you might come ever slightly close. This nation was given birth to, sorry, I'm going there, under white supremacy. Everything was written and done for white supremacy. And it shows. But it won't be in your history books because they're whitewashed and they're made to keep people following the company line. And the company is white supremacy. That's their culture. The company culture is white supremacy. And Neil, Don is right. The close to blows between Juan Williams and Greg Gutfeld. You know what? Am I reading that right? Yeah. You were referring to Fox News. Thanks, Neil. Absolutely. These people who still support Trump, I'm sorry, they are horrible, horrible. I mean, at what point do you finally say, I can't take it? I mean, mine was the minute I heard one thing about him, about what he did to the Central Park Five. It's the first thing I learned about him when he was going to be president, is what he did to them. And I was like, okay, he's a racist. You know what? And my goal in life will be to try to educate white people to stop people like him. Remember, when he's gone, there's the people that follow him. And that's where the education has to come in. This is a scary, I want to say that like the shit's hitting the fan, but everyone keeps saying that, and then there's something else. So, Antoine, I never liked Trump, but when he was elected, I said I'd give him a chance, but he's everything everyone said he was and what they thought he was. Yeah, Anton, you're a lot nicer than I was. People would say, give him a chance. And I would say, are you kidding me? I lost like every friend I had, but it was okay. I would say to them, giving someone a chance is what you do for somebody who, has some ideas here and there, but I will never give someone a chance who runs a campaign solely on purposefully harming, murdering, and further oppressing my fellow humans. That's what every single point of his campaign was. And I was like, no, I won't give him a chance to do it. No, I'm sorry. So you are a lot nicer than I am, because I was, my God, give him a chance. It's like saying give a rapist a chance. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to. A murderer a chance. I'm sorry. I'm going to believe what they say and believe they mean exactly what they say. So I was given no, see, I'm kind of hardcore sometimes, but I just, yeah, he proved, I know he did. He proved it. And I'm not downing you. You're Anton, you're a nice guy. That's like really sweet. I believed him. I believed every word he said because I believed him. And Katrina, the presidency of the United States should be for all people, not divide us by financial statuses or differing races. How did he become president legally or morally? The Electoral College. I don't know. I mean, I can say, Katrina, in my like very opinionated, very arrogant, white privileged opinion, he became president because I can just say right now, it didn't matter what anyone did. It didn't matter what anyone thought about him. It didn't matter what he did, where he went. They found out he was racist, and it was the man they'd been waiting for their entire life. And he was in. And that's why it didn't matter what he did. And it didn't matter what he stood for. It didn't matter that he lied. Nothing mattered. He was racist. And white America had their man. And that's my opinion. Simple as that. So, but, and Anton, I hope you didn't feel put down by what I was saying. It's just, I don't know, maybe he's a bad, bad man. And what he did before he was president and throughout his entire life spoke to who he was as a person. And it was truly the nastiest thing I'd ever read about for a person in like my generation, I guess you could say. I didn't know people like that could be that evil. So, I mean, I guess I'm right because he showed us, but I don't want to be right. It's just, he showed us. Ooh, he showed us all right. So, Neil, white people look at black people as if they're on the wrong side of the tracks because of the division of America that is growing and growing. It's out of control. Yep, it is. And I get the feeling this is just the beginning. It's going to get really, really, really bad. So let's get going here. I'm just laughing because this was an insane day with the testimonies. Right, so I'm going to provide a brief summary. And we'll go from there and jump in and try to stay where I'm at because there's a lot. So overall, it appears that the Republicans' goal was solely to discredit Cohen as a total liar and prove that he's lying now, he's lying then. It was, but here's the catch. Apparently, Cohen anticipated that the Republicans would try to cast him as a liar. And he had spent a lot of time digging up receipts and offering evidence and including paperwork and tapes and confirming statements and giving names. And oh my goodness. So he brought, according to his opening statement, Cohen said he would provide evidence of receipts for checks that were paid to him as reimbursements by Trump for the hush money payments he gave to Stormy Daniels. And oh, Anastasia, hello, welcome to the show. So what we're trying to do is I'm giving a brief summary and hoping that everybody watching will fill us in with what they know as we go, because I could not keep up with all this. He indicated that he would also not only give evidence so that people didn't have to, oh, my Shiro, you're so sweet. I finally got what that meant. You are so sweet. Oh my God. I was like, what? I'm slow, but I catch on. He said to the people that you don't have to believe me because I'm gonna show you tangible evidence. So that was awesome. And he named names and he indicated, and I'm gonna name a few things that are kind of like minor points, but they all add up to what's going on and what we've heard. He indicated that he would provide copies of threatening letters that Trump made him write out, that he made to colleges and schools, preventing them from releasing his grades. So, I mean, I just thought that's just like crazy obscure, but like, oh my God, nothing went unturned. There's a point in the testimony where Cohen actually apologized to Congress I guess he had previously apologized to Congress as a whole for lying to them. I don't know, that's either here nor there, but the Republicans pretty much didn't ask a thing about Trump, maybe one or two questions in the entire thing. It was all about saying what a liar comes. What a liar. He's a liar. We can't believe him. I'm ashamed, like in a motherly way. I'm ashamed of the Republicans. Ashamed. I mean, it was disgusting hearing them try to, I won't even get into it. It was disgusting. So, a note of interest to me was this 4:08 a.m. tweet from Trump trying to distance himself. He said, I'm going to read this. Michael Cohen was one of my many lawyers who represented me, unfortunately. He had other clients also. He was just disbarred by the state Supreme Court for lying and fraud. He did bad things unrelated to Trump. Now, I had to hold it right there like, wait a second, you are Trump. This third person thing is kind of weirded me out. I don't know what you guys think, but I was like, whoa. He's lying in order to reduce his prison time using crooked lawyer. Seriously, the distance thing, this tweet is just like some attempt to distance himself from Cohen, but nice try. I mean, everyone knows he was his attorney for 10 years. This kind of tweet is kind of like an attempt to, he's a con man. I mean, he's a con man. His tweets are ridiculous. Let me just, I'm going to take a couple comments in just 1 second. I don't think it's going to work. The dude was known as a fixer for Trump, and a nasty one at that. And he admitted to that. So Cohen also offered some evidence. Apparently, a copy of a check Mr. Trump wrote from his personal account after he became president to reimburse Cohen for hush money payments he made to cover up Trump's affair with the adult porn star and prevent damage to his campaign. So, Katrina, I'm sorry you had to lose your friends behind speaking out about the president. You're an amazing oh, you're so sweet. For being outspoken, very motivated. If you don't stand for something that we fall for. Right. If you don't stand for something, we fall for anything. Katrina, I personally, and I don't mean to sound sanctimonious, I had zero problems losing my friends because they weren't real friends. I have no interest in hanging around people who do not care about all people and all groups. I have no interest. There was some strange, it was a process. Maybe just not to make it about me, but there was a time when I was very blunt and I said some really bad things. And unfortunately, I meant every word of them. I look back on it every 6 months, what I wrote, and I meant every stinking word. I told anyone who supports that man can go fuck themselves. And I said that, and sounds like a horrible thing to say, but I'm standing by it. And I said, but before you do that, unfriend me and don't ever speak to me again, because I'm privileged. I'm white. I can do that. I can lose friends like that. I don't have coworkers I have to deal with like that because I work at home. That was a privilege. And I said to myself, I can't have these people in my life. So they outed themselves. I had people I didn't even know were Trump supporters telling me off. So thank you, though. But compared to what Black people go through and African-American people, nothing. It was like cleaning up the place. So it was great. I mean, it was eye-opening. Let's put it that way. Kind of scary and eye-opening, but thank you. Lakeisha, he is about to be taken down by us. Oh, God, I hope so. I hope so. Katrina, I feel like you're not prejudiced. I feel like when you're not prejudiced, you don't have to bring a person out to say you have, okay, let me just get this straight. Katrina, I feel like when you're not prejudiced, you don't have to bring a person out to say you have done nice things for me as a Black person. When you're not prejudiced, it just shows in your everyday living. Yeah, I mean, part of the thing, Katrina, you have great philosophy and you're so sweet. My ideology is that, and please don't take this the wrong way, all whites are racist. It's not necessarily their fault per se, but it is a choice to stay ignorant. And the reason all whites are racist is because we have implicit bias. If you're born into the system, I mean, it rubs off on you. You're like, it just rubs off on you, and everything goes from there. You can't help but have implicit bias. And to me, implicit bias is racism, because you know what? People might say, that's not racism, it's subconscious. I'm sorry, it discriminates. When you have implicit bias, it discriminates because that's how you think. If that's how you think, oftentimes that's how you act, and that's discrimination. So that's my personal take, just my opinion. But yeah, it shows you cannot help it. You cannot help if you have this kind of mentality. That's where all the All Lives Matter people came from. That's where all the Blue Lives Matter people came from. They just don't get it. That's where all the I have a black friend, which we will be talking about. Oh my God. That's where my sister's brothers, cousins, aunts, second stepsister is black. I mean, all these things, all these denials. So anyway, you got me on a rampage. I can't wait to talk to you personally, Katrina. Daryl, it is, as Ben stated on the news, that this will not affect his base. They love him they love him no matter what. And Les, totally, they love him no matter what. And in my opinion, it doesn't matter what he does because he gets them. He's racist like them. He gets that they feel like they're the chosen people. He gets them. They just want someone to relate to. And he's the one. I think some of these families have been waiting since the Civil War, for someone to finally just say what they feel inside. So they feel like they're being related to. I mean, this nation is sick. The white folks in this nation, we have an illness. Oh my God. Like I need to tell you guys. Let me see. And part of the thing is, a lot of people who will come on here and say, like, oh, angry soccer mom, you just hate white people. They can say that all they want, but it's not true. Maybe I just think we're better than this. All this disgusting hate. Race is a human construct. It was made up for hatred. I believe in white people. I don't hate them. I believe in them. That's why I know we can educate them and get them to understand that their struggles aren't because of black people. My God, we caused all the things that have harmed people of color and black people and indigenous people. We've done that. That's us. Our enemy needs to be the wealthiest elites who keep us racist. So we'll fall in line and never blame them. And we'll never unite with all the other people who get what's going on and stop them from destroying our chance at the American dream. Now, I will get off my soapbox. Let me see. Right, Lakeisha, exactly. This nation was created with the near genocide of the native people who lived here and made wealthy and prosperous on the backs of people who were kidnapped and taken from their homes. These were human beings who had civilizations, who had intelligence, who had skills, and we turned them into enslaved, non-human status. Yet, if you really look into the history, they fought back in so many ways you would not believe. They fought back. Oh my God, I'm going to do a video on it because, anyway, I'm getting off topic, but let me see. We will keep going. And okay, so one of the main points of the hearings was to find out the role that he thinks Trump played in paying off the affairs and covering them up. Katrina, I know you love all races, including whites. If someone says otherwise, they don't know you. Thank you. You know what, Katrina? I've kind of like, thank you, that's really sweet. I've kind of like evolved and tried to make it like, it's not really about me. Yeah, it hurts when people say that, but I know, like, because I'm kind of old, I guess, I know what's in my heart. And people can say, I hate this. And it's just an excuse. It's another excuse to not learn our real racial history, and to not face the truth about our racial history and take responsibility for it. But thank you, Katrina. That's really sweet of you. So Cummings, who was the chairman of the committee, he's that guy up there that was, at that front. He made it very clear, and this was like the coolest thing, in his opening remarks, that he would be referring Cohn to the Justice Department for prosecution if he lied. So it was one of the first things that came out. So he made it crystal clear that if Cohn is making up stuff, he's going to be watching every move. And at this point, they have his testimony, all his testimonies from the closed door sessions. And then again, tomorrow there's going to be the open session today, and all the other stuff that has gone on with the Mueller stuff. I don't know if they've seen it yet, but I mean, they have a lot of cross references and ability. So that was really cool. He stated, and he's the chairman of the committee that did listen to the testimony. He said, he lies, it's over. I'm going after him. So this goes to the credibility of Cohn's testimony. Cohn had nothing to lose by telling the truth, and absolutely everything to gain, to lose if he lied. So, I mean, lying would have been disastrous. Let me see. The LGBO landing, the slave revolt of the Seminole Indians, the Lumbee standoff, Denmark, Bessie's, and etc. are all historical antiquity, but the narrative is that we were passive and weak. Yeah, and you know what, Anastasia, I didn't want to bother you this week, but I have so many questions because I have read things, oh my God, amazing, amazing things. I've read things that will blow your mind. There was nothing weak about them, nothing weak at all. It was almost genius. The things that humans who were forced to be enslaved did to resist. And Anastasia, I know you're an expert in this, and I'm nowhere near, but I want to learn more because it was the stuff that makes you like get teary. It was just so intense. Some of the stuff I learned was because of all the rape, the rampant raping of women and men, which we won't get into, it's off topic. One of the things, just as an example, the women actually concocted a way to make them basically not be able to get pregnant, but by basically poisoning themselves. But because the slave masters wanted new slaves, as they were forcing them to give birth, and they would resist in these little ways. And I won't get into it because I don't know the details, but it was like, oh my God. Neil, another issue, Trump's businesses and his presidential campaign are registered in New York State, and state officials have the authority to investigate and potentially prosecute him for the violations of state law. Yeah, I mean, I think what you might be saying, Neil, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Cohn's testimony, he had everything to lose if they caught him in a lie. I mean, again, I'm just going to assume. Anastasia, all those were slave revolts, and the LGBO landing was the largest mass suicide they walked. I know. Okay, yeah. I can't wait to have you on this show and just have people just talk to you and have you educate us, and it's just amazing. You are a wealth of information. This is where we got the Black folk tales of the flying Africans. Lakeisha, I believe this is why they are against Black babies being aborted. Yeah, yep. Yes, Neil says, yes, this is a problem that could bring them down. It makes me sick how the history is rewritten in total lies. And if you're a white person listening and learning from this, the more you learn, the more you will be like, oh my God, I've been lied to my whole life. Yes, you have. We have. We whitewashed it because we can't face our own true history. And there's nothing to me more important than knowing the truth. If the truth is ugly, so be it. But lies are uglier. I'm not going to live a lie. So that's why I do this. I refused. I won't live a lie. Thank you, Anastasia. I could just go into so many questions, but I'm going to try to be good because we have a lot to cover. So by having Cummings basically say he's going to get turned in, I think that at the very beginning, if he does any lying, we're going to prosecute him. I think that was good. That was a very good thing. Part of Cohen's statement included him saying, and who knows if this is an act or what, but this is what he said. He said, "I'm ashamed that I chose to take part in concealing Mr. Trump's illicit acts rather than listening to my own conscience. I'm ashamed because I know what Mr. Trump is. He's a racist, he's a con man, and he's a cheat." And Anton, I love your energy. It's always positive. And do you ever have a panel or open line? Oh, I would love to do that. We'll talk. I would love to actually do that. Maybe if things get more popular or whatever, maybe I can, do that. I know Neil and a couple other people are looking into that. I would love to have real people voicing what they have to say. Thank you. Thank you, Anton. That's really nice of you. I appreciate it. Brea, I hope I'm saying your name right. I feel like Michael is just letting people know that he has been lying, but at the end of the day, he knows Trump's better than anyone. Explain. Let me just read that again. I want to make sure I'm getting it right. I feel like Michael is just letting people know that he has been lying, but at the end of the day, he knows Trump's better than anyone. I don't want to misrepresent you, so tell me more, and I'll read it. Anastasia. Oh yeah, don't worry. I'm not falling. I did a video on "You're just sorry you got caught." I'm not falling for Cohen's anything. Don't worry. Not at all. Not at all. A podcast with Angry Soccer Mom. Lakeisha, thank you. I'm going to definitely look into that. I would love to do stuff like that. No. Cohen is a criminal. I mean, he's done terrible, terrible things, and give me a break. But I'm just saying, he did say all that. I'm just saying what he said, but absolutely, I don't believe one word. And Brea, if you get a chance, tell me precisely what you meant, because I want to represent you correctly. I don't want to just say what I think you're saying and then be completely off base. So Cohen testified. I'm just going to look. Cohen testified that this is the sickest thing about some of the racism stuff. After what he did to the Central Park Five, this is absolutely believable. He testified that they were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago. This is what we were talking about earlier. And he said, Trump commented that only Black people could live this way. And he told me, this is a quote from Cohen, actually. He told me that Black people would never vote for him because they're too stupid. Trump is an evil, racist sicko. And I absolutely believe him. Yeah, what a sick MF. Oh, absolutely. He's disgusting. He is a eugenics guy. His father, not that I need to tell you guys this, I know you know this. His father was caught in a hooded KKK rally and arrested at a Klan rally. And let me see, Vice News, they proved it, and they proved it in such an amazing way. If you guys get bored, look that up. It is amazing. He proved not that they needed proof. I think it's kind of common knowledge, but in the days we're living in of people who just lie, it gets so normalized. I loved what Vice News did, and they did that a long time ago. So yeah, I believe him on that's what Trump would say. The only thing I really believe is anything that speaks to Trump's MO, because it makes sense. Other than that, don't worry, Anastasia, I'm not falling for, I was like, but there were a few things I believed. Like, I definitely believed that he feels bad about his wife. That's it. One thing I have to say. I think he really feels bad. But you know what? He had a long time to figure this out. So not only is Cohen accusing Trump of all this financial fraud, he claims that he did this for petty things. Like, he was kind of characterizing Trump as a person who like enjoys or gets something out of all these lies. For example, stuff like having a portrait sold at an auction for huge, huge sums of money. He wanted to be like the one that, you know, he's narcissistic. He has inflating his wealth for Forbes magazine, showing off for and boasting how he ripped off. Again, this is what Cohen's saying. He testified that he boasted about ripping off small businessmen all the time, that he thought that was kind of cool. Cohen testified that Trump reveled in not paying small businessmen because he could get away with it because he's really, really wealthy. Let me take some. Don. Chilling Cohen's statement, there will never be a peaceful transition of power if Trump loses in 2020. Wow. Now, was that at the testimony, or was that, I'm dying to know? Yeah, because he did mention at the testimony, I remember he said he felt very guilty about all this divisiveness that happened because of the lies. Oh, Brea, and I hope I'm saying your name right. I feel like Michael knows Trump better than anyone, being as though he's been his beck and call for over 10 years, and he just wants the American people to know. Okay, and fair enough. And that is what it seemed like. That is definitely what it seemed like. Thanks for clarifying that. I appreciate it. Yeah, Katrina, I know we need a new president, but do you think we will be more racially divided if Trump isn't voted back in? Being his constituents and supporters will have a backlash. Either way, it seems like, and let me see where you put, I'll read the rest of it. I can guess what you're trying to say. Personally, I think there's nothing more important than everybody uniting, everybody who sees, you know, the white folks that don't get this. I don't have any words for them. I'm not giving up on them, but I don't know what to do. You have to be willing to learn. I and other educators, and there are so many, we can't force somebody who doesn't want to learn. And that's just, you know, that's just common sense. So I think the best thing that we can ever do is get him out and be united and be intersectional and have people from every single historically marginalized group and all their educated supporters come together and say, we will not stand for this. His supporters are supporting crimes against humanity. He has to leave. Our nation isn't going to survive. He has to go. So that's my opinion. But thank you for that's a great question. Yeah, it's a really good question. Either way, it doesn't seem like there isn't a right action or wrong action to take to make racism leave. Wait, okay, isn't it right? I'm sorry. I'm like, I hate that they cut you off with your comments with a certain amount of words. Either way, it seems like there isn't a right action or wrong action to take to make racism leave. Peace and love will win. And here's the bottom line. We are, and we might be going like this, but we are heading in the right direction because Black people, African-American people, people of color, Indigenous people are amazing. And even though white folks are systemically doing everything in their human power to put them down, they are still succeeding. Nothing is going to stop them. And they will get their freedom, with or without white folks helping or supporting. But my big thing is, my God, what's wrong with white people? Why wouldn't we care? It's in our best interest. It's going against our best interest to support racism. Even if you are racist, we're supporting the wealthy elite who take all the money. The gap between the rich and poor is completely huge. Even if you want to be racist, it's not even in your best interest to be racist. So that's pretty racist to go against your own best interest just to be able to, I don't know. It's a crazy thing. Let me see. Yes, he said that at the testimony. Don, wow. Good. And Dr. Anastasia, when I was in the Army, soldiers would get into trouble and their superiors would say all these good things and ask us to think about their wife and wife and kids. But we're always asked, but we always ask, was that person thinking, hold it. Oh, look, okay, and I'll get about their wife and kids or or when they were doing wrong. Clearly they weren't. So why should we? I get it. I think that's an awesome point. And I'm kind of a sucker. I'm kind of a sucker for like not accepting everybody and all that, because obviously I'm completely vocal and I don't have any problem being absolutely vocal about the horrific crimes against humanity that Trump supports and his supporters support. But I can be a bit of a sucker for like compartmentally, like, oh, but yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's like somebody who has an illicit affair on their, wife. They weren't crying when they were doing the stuff with their, I get what you're saying. They're sorry now because they've been caught. And I think that's kind of what you're saying. And if I'm wrong, definitely tell me. But yeah, they weren't too upset when things were going well. And especially for him, this was not something he did in a week, in a month, in a year. This was something he did knowingly over time. And I believe his father was a Holocaust survivor. So, don't even go there. I don't know, but good. I think I get your point. Let me just go back. Let me see. Lakeisha, reparations, trillions of dollars. And that's what I was going to talk about tonight. I was going to talk about the 3 candidates who are talking reparations, and I will at some point, not probably tonight, but I definitely will, because Marianne will. I have so many things to talk about with you guys. I want to know what you think. So let me read some more comments. Let me see. Isn't it ironic? This is from Mr. SF Black. Isn't it ironic how Trump called those black and brown countries shitholes when many Americans from Flint, Michigan to Alabama are living in shitholes? Yeah, he's insane. The irony is real. He's ludicrous. He is the epitome of a racist and a eugenics person, eugenicist. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I will learn. He's completely full of it. And I truly believe he's severely mentally ill, but that's just a whole nother. Don, Trump's famous statement, he loves the poorly educated. Yep. Oh, that's right. That's right. I remember that, because they're easily manipulated by stirring up powerful emotions. Exactly. And what Trump's done is he's run a campaign on fear, because fear works great with people who don't know the facts or don't want to know the facts, or are just following their own agenda and looking for, what they want to see. And it's just like a jury pool. Tell them you have a PhD and you're not going to be on it, because that means you can think. You can tell them you do your own research and you barely graduate high school. They're not going to want you on it either, because you do your own research. They know you're academic. It's not a matter of having been to school. It's a matter of having learned how to think. If you do your own research, you know how to think. So I'm not one of those people who say, oh, you have to have gone to school. No. You have to have figured out how to learn and how to think, and they will not take you. And of course, Trump loves those people, because, think about it. If they don't read, and they can listen to his state-sponsored news with Fox and his Twitter and his, oh my God, it's like he has them just like the dictators did in the past. He has them only watching him, and so they're getting their reality from a very sick man. So, Don, fantastic comment. Anastasia, yep, you are correct. I hope you're talking to me. Don't know. Lisa, hello, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. We are slowly going over the testimony today, and I'm asking people to jump in as we get to things, because it was pretty crazy. It was pretty, oh my God, I can't even think straight. Let me see. Lakeisha, racists love Black people in unsatisfied and unsanitary conditions. Yeah, I think what you're trying to say, Lakeisha, is like white folks who are racist, and tell me if I'm wrong, they kind of feel good when we see people who are struggling, because then we can say, look, they're disgusting. Look how they live. Like just what Cohen said Trump said. And whether he said it or not, I think we have roughly 1 billion examples of how racist Trump is. They do seem to have this strange thing where all I can say is, this is what I say. If the best thing you ever did was be born white, you got some serious issues. And I think they're so insecure. They enjoy seeing people like lower than they are. And I mean, like the politicians said, all you have to do is make a white person feel like they have a chance. They have a chance. They might be poor, but at least they're not a Black person. All you have to do is do that, and you have them in your pocket. And I use that quote, which I don't know exactly, but it's been working. And that is how the wealthiest elite in our nation are destroying it. So, yep. And it's a sick thing. Vinomi, I hope I'm saying that right. Thank you for being here. I'm the worst I'm a phonics instructor. Oops. Okay, I can't even read. The solution is simple. White supremacy and elitists are Luciferian and satanic systems. If righteous people, Black, white, or otherwise, divest from the system, they will implode or explode. I love what you just said. Yep, love it. Absolutely. What you just said is why I educate white folks, because I'm not going to educate Black people. It's a joke. They educate people of color and people who are Black and people who are African American, Indigenous, Native. They educate me. I learned from them. I don't educate them. What a joke. How would I know? I don't know what it's like to live this. I call it a crime against humanity. It's an ongoing crime against humanity. Systemic racism in America is, and that is my personal, very white opinion, but I truly believe it is an ongoing crime against humanity. And I love what you just said. That's awesome. Katrina, poverty and homelessness can be solved in every country if people would wouldn't focus on the differences between us. I'm fortunate to have a great job and I have a nice living. And for those who, let me see, it's hard to keep my spot here. Let me see. And just to jump in there, I'm a dreamer, a total dreamer. And I know that. I pride myself in not being realistic. I pride myself in shooting for the impossible. It's how I am, and I can't stop. So when I say stuff, and some people are thinking like, seriously, be realistic. I can't. Some things I think it's my own way to keep hope. So some of the things I say, you might be thinking, yeah, right. But I have to keep some hope that we can do this. I wanted to catch up to the other comment. Let me see. Sorry about the delay. Katrina. Oh, okay, there we go. Aren't as fortunate. Some people aren't fortunate. I tried to help out as much as I can, and it's going to make sure that money stays within the 1% range. You know what? Jason, hola, hello. Thanks for being here. One of the things that I'd love to do, have some guests on about is keeping money in the Black community. The way so many places are made wealthy, and there's all these statistics on it, but I'm going to try to stick to the subject, but there are so many things that we can do to help. Anastasia, ma'am, it's not going to happen. Reparations, that is. Oh, yeah. It's not in the U.S. policy to empower and finance African people. And people feel that I didn't have a slave or know anyone that was, so why should I be? Yeah. I know. All the excuses, it's just ridiculous. I know it's not going to happen, maybe, and this is Anastasia. this is how I feel, is just like Bernie Sanders, his ideologies were just, I mean, off, just no way, no one's gonna, well, what do you know? A lot of people are taking them now. And he's been doing this for 20 years. So I feel like just getting the word, okay, most white folks don't know what the word reparations is. I'm just saying, I'm speaking from like my experience. They don't know what reparations are, okay? And you might laugh and say, yeah, right, but oh my gosh. Like I said, if you're white, it's, or, you know, take how racist you think this place is and multiply it by a gazillion and you still won't be there. Getting it on the table, just getting it on the table. And even if just one candidate gets it on the table as their first thing, people are going to learn fast what it is. And you're right. I don't know, but don't make me give up my hope, even if it's blinded. Let me see. Lisa, Donald Trump won and continues to keep support, not just because of fear. It's deeper. He represents a father figure, which is why a lot of Bernie Sanders supporters voted for him too. Yeah, that's a really good point. I never thought about it that way. An evil father from hell. I mean, sorry, had to go there. But yeah, the thing is this. My big thing, and it's like this story, and I'm sticking to it. They had him at racist. They found out he was racist, and nothing else mattered. That's how racist I think our nation is. My God, he gets us. Yes, this is the man we want. It didn't matter what he did. He was racist. So, I mean, that's just my thing. But yeah, I never thought about that. I guess, I mean, he's in power. And also, Lisa, what do you think? We look at America, our culture is kind of sad. We look at rich people and automatically think how great they are. Rich people, that has nothing to do with being great. They're successful monetarily, but what are they inside? I mean, Trump's the poorest wealthy person I've ever known in my generation. I consider him impoverished, completely impoverished, morally, spiritually. He's a mess. I mean, that's not something I look up to, but I mean, I think our culture overall, we bow down to these people. Let me just take a few more and then we'll go. Let me see. But yeah, that's an interesting, a father figure. Yeah. Ugh, scary. Great point though, Lisa. Okay. Oh, Mr. SF Black. Notice how Trump didn't call any European countries shitholes because he welcomes them here, even though many of them would rather stay where they are than to ever come to this nation where he is president. Absolutely. He's a white supremacist. And every single time when all that stuff was happening, when the caravans of people were coming from nations that we helped destabilize, we're at a 40, don't get me into it, a 40-year low in having people come who would want to come to be with him, you know, as president. But I mean, we're in a 40-year low, even though these people, I imagine, I said to my friends, imagine if you ever question how racist this is, think of those little brown babies as blonde, blue-eyed. That's all I had to say. He would be welcoming them in with open arms. He is a disgusting, disgusting excuse for a human being. And it's just how I feel. But yep, great points. Messages held, Anastasia. Okay. Anastasia, doctor. Made to pay for it. So I said, I paid for it. I paid for illegal wars, proxy wars, hair plugs, healthcare for our lawmakers, and Viagra. No one asked if I wanted to pay for a bald man with a a limp, you know what? Yeah. Oh my God, you're so funny. Vietnamese President Johnson. Okay, explain. And Lakeisha, the world will be without Black people. It's a really, really very powerful statement, and it's a very powerful statement. You're getting me all emotional. Okay, Anton, I'm a Black man, and I've lived in and around the Black community my whole life, and Blacks bring out a lot of this negativity down on themselves. Blacks have been gangbangers for 60 years. They have to change their ways also. And I'm really glad I got to read that. That's not something I will speak to. It's not my place. But I'm perfectly fine with you saying that. I have very strong opinions about that, because if people understand, and I know you get this, obviously, get this, you're living this, the redlining, my God, the Devil's Punch Bowl, the redlining, the sundown towns, the discrimination, the Black codes. I could go on and on and on. The police as slave catchers, just the cruelty, forcing, pushing down. I think that has, my God, how much do you take until you just say, the system wasn't made for me, I quit? I'm blown away by the amazing, the first 100 years after, the first 100 years after human beings were finally set free and allowed, to end their enslaved status, horrific things happened. That was like slavery never ended. Even now we have mass incarceration. It's a mess. I personally would never go there, because for me, that would be blaming the victim. But as a Black man, you get to say whatever you want. So I'm glad you said it. How's that? Brea, Trump acts like a businessman. If your money's not right, then you're not right. And he'll never feel for people because he feels like they're not worth anything. But African Americans will rise. Absolutely. If you think about it, 1964 didn't even, in name, you can't change a person's heart. Sure, we get equality on paper for everybody, but give me a break. White people will go around and find a way to break the spirit of any law that's given that they don't believe in. And this nation is a nation of white supremacists, and uneducated ones at that. So, yeah. Trump is all about greed, all about money over humans. And it's really sad, because it's not the way to go. It's destroying our country. It's the way to destroy our country. And anyway, don't get me started. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit more. Great comments, though, Brea. Thank you. Let me see. Make sure I'm not skipping anybody. Lisa, I think it's important to keep the concept of reparations in the top of our mind. I worry that with the deconstruction of public education, these important concepts will be erased. Yeah, I love that. I'm thrilled that the three of the candidates, Democratic candidates for running for president, have already put it in. Because, as I said before, like Anastasia was saying, like it's not going to happen, whatever, because white folks are so incredibly caught up in their denial of racism and whatnot. But we gotta keep it out there, because it's gonna happen, and it better happen, because Black people in America whose ancestors were taken and stolen and forced into a non-human status, they've never gotten reparations. They've gotten nothing. In fact, they've gotten the opposite of reparations. They've gotten cruel redlining and racism and systemic racism continue to this minute. So, great points, Lisa. Don, Lyndon Johnson said, that's what I wanted. That's the quote that I wanted from Lyndon Johnson. I actually quoted that in 3 shows ago, but I couldn't remember it exactly, so I didn't do it. Thank you, Don. You're my savior. If you convince the lowest white man, and this is very antiquated language, so excuse me. If you convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Give him someone to look down upon, and he'll do anything for you, or he'll empty them for you. Right, exactly. Yep. That's basically the story of our nation. The story of our nation. These people knew what they were doing. They weren't accidents. They knew what they were doing. Thank you, Don, for that. Let me find my spot. Goodness. Oh, got it. Okay. True story, says Lisa. Vietnamese, what's your background? The predominant culture of the dominant white society seems to be benign neglect or worse. Yet you don't seem to be of this ilk. Why do you think that you became different? That's a great question. I think I was a little kid. I think I was born that way. It's a really weird cop-out. I was born that way. I was 6 years old. I saw it. I didn't know what it was called. And I was very upset. I saw people weren't treating, but I was kind of stupid. Like, I didn't know what the people were, but I saw something bad was happening. And I tried to go up to every person of color and tell them I would be their friend when I was 6. So that's what I did, because I thought they needed a friend because I could tell people were mean to them. And so when I became 12, I figured it out what it was and why I was drawn to try to do something to stop this. And then when I was 18, thank God I got introduced to Jane Elliott. Not personally, but somebody who had worked with her. And it was like my whole world started, because finally I had never met, up until I was 18, I had never met a white person who saw this, because I was really sheltered. I was raised in this little white castle away with a lot of other little white people. And I saw it and I didn't know what it was, and no one told me, no one explained it. And it was, so thank you for asking. That's a really good question. I was just born that way, I guess, but thank you. It's really sweet of you to say. Let me see. I always lose my spot. Okay, bear with me if you can. Katrina, are there any employees on the only African employees? I'm the only African American that works in my job. Some days it's a challenge, even though my employer treats me with the highest respect. I still feel, yeah, Katrina, that must be really, really tough, because I can't imagine. Because part of the thing is the implicit bias that people have who are not constantly studying and trying to better themselves and to take a look at themselves and see, as white people, we have to be willing to drop our ego and say, I have implicit bias. I have racist tendencies. I'm going to work on them. I'm going to fight them. I'm going to push against them. And what happens is, when we find people who are nice people who are white, but they don't know what's going on, they can't help but kind of have these ideologies of like, well, because the propaganda is real. Like the welfare queen that Reagan was talking about wasn't even a black person. It was a white person. But he didn't have to say that, because the white racists all figured it was a black person. And so, it's just ingrained. And I can't imagine what it would be like to, even with the nicest white folks, God, I've had so many people say, oh, Black Lives Matter is a terrorist group. I'm like, what? It's just, I've had these people they're so uneducated. And so unless they're willing to take it upon themselves, you still do emotional work, even if they're nice. And I just can't imagine how hard that would be. And I'm glad you have a great job and that it's nice and pleasant. But my dream would be to come in to a company and do a 4-hour seminar, or once a week for 8 weeks seminar in cultural competence, and get them to get this real history, and their heads would be spinning. But yeah, that's a whole nother subject. I'm going to stop talking about that and start getting back to, let me see. But thank you, Katrina. Thank you for sharing the personal information. People who are watching this and watch later, I think it's just so imperative that they hear this. White folks need to hear from the person that how hard this is. And you're a person who has a great job and who has nice people with you. So, I mean, just think if somebody didn't. A friend of mine just today said he got fired over racism. I hear that constantly. So, okay. Oh, learn social justice. Hello, welcome. Okay. Stevie, yay, thanks for being here. Greetings. Anastasia, Bernie and AOC don't support reparations. Representative Dinkle has been championing Medicare for all for before Bernie, and his wife still does. He was in Congress for 60 years. Okay, I'm not sure who you were referring to because I'm out of it, but definitely jump in and tell us more. That's why you need to be on this show. Okay, Lisa, impoverishment comment. His supporters finally felt heard, tapping into the racism, but I'm thinking it was also the two-party system disenfranchising people from both sides. He did not win. Yeah, he didn't win it a lot. Right. Yeah, definitely. It's complicated. I mean, it's sort of funny. It's so simple, yet it's so complicated. Social science is tough. It really is. Let me take some more. Anastasia. Anything that is introduced for Black people will be tailgated with people that weren't slaves or had to deal with the crap of the cesspool. Good point. Katrina. Anton, I do feel like as a Black woman, Black women and men do go against each other and sell drugs because they feel that that's the way to get ahead. But I believe, Jason, Mueller is about to drop a bomb. And I'll get back to, Katrina, I'll get back to your, I hate that they limit you. He's about to, this is all coming together, I think at least. And let me see here. Anastasia, it's funny Anastasia, it's funny to me how people bring up the crabs in the barrel, but no one brings up who the crabs in the barrel who puts the crabs in the barrel or who made the barrel. Most Black people have slave PTSD, but saying that we are, and that's kind of what I think that's kind of what I was trying to say, is that even though it's not my place to speak to that, I hear that all the time. And I'll be honest, I don't think that. I completely 100% blame white America. We did this, we set this up, we kept it in place, we oppressed, we put in systems that would keep people from being able to win, and we did this. And so I can't speak. I know that sounds like really one-sided, but I tend to be kind of one-sided about this. We did this. That's my opinion. We did this, and I could never blame a Black person or a person of color for, and obviously I'm not into selling drugs and crime and all that. I think it's the wrong way to go, but my God, at what point do you have nothing else to lose when generation after generation has been shown, we're not going to let you in. We're not going to let you in. So that's just kind of my thing. Let me see. And I don't know if I'm speaking to the right, what you're trying to say, Anastasia. Here we go. Saying that we are all, not doing well, do you blame us? Gangs begin to protect Black neighborhoods from white people and the white cops killing us. So come on. Yeah. And then that's kind of where I'm at, actually, with you. I don't know, as a white person, I don't know what it would take for me to turn to that, but it's not my place to judge that kind of as a white person. But you guys can say whatever you want. I mean, obviously this is a forum for you to give Black people aren't a monolith. They don't all have one opinion, obviously. But this is great because I want to hear all the opinions. Sam, hello. Thank you so much for being here. You crack me up. Behave, okay? Behave. Learning social justice. I keep losing my spot. Okay. Yes, but Bernie is right because fixing the structural racism is more important than reparations. How about both? I don't know. What do you guys think? Good point, though. Good point. Josh, hello. And Daryl, good night. Les, thank you so much for being here. You are wonderful. Good night. And Vianney, thank you for answering. You've given me insight into the depths of whites in terms of the human psyche. I have a theory on Luciferian energies. I got to get this out of the way. My estimate is that racism, again, is a higher form of this. Yeah, that's actually interesting. If you're comfortable, friend me. I want to know what you think. I admit it. Sometimes I think, like, I actually say in a couple of my videos on YouTube, what's wrong with white people? Like, I don't get it. I'm laughing saying that because it sounds like such a goofy, sophomoric thing to say, but I don't get it. And I think I might be done trying because it doesn't matter why. We have to stop. And it's going to be through education because, anyway, thank you for saying that. It's a higher form of this. If this is too personal, please feel willing to not answer. Do you feel that your parents had a large input on your disposition towards racism? Yes. It is not too personal, and I will quickly go into it because I could just be all over the place. Yes, they did. My parents had friends. My parents did not teach me one single thing about racism, okay? But that being said, they had friends from every single culture, every walk of life. They called them their friends. They didn't call them their Black friends. They called them their friends. They never peeped a word about any of it, and I thought that was normal. That everyone had friends from everything. When I was 6 years old, my best friend was a little girl who was Black. I didn't know she was Black. I didn't know she lived in the projects. She came to my house all the time. My mom didn't tell me. My mom was wonderful to her, and like she was to all my little baby friends. She never told me. She didn't have a father. She never told me. She lived in a really rough area with a lot of gangs. She never told me a thing. I said I wanted her to come over, and she did, and we played. My parents did not say a peep. I have never heard my mom, my parents say, or my grandparents utter a single racist thing in their entire lives. Not once. But on the other hand, we didn't talk about anything. So yeah, it had to be. I won't tell you where I learned about what racism. I learned all those things later in life when I kind of got out of Dodge and went to college. But absolutely. And even though there's a lot I could say about my upbringing, on Mother's Day, I thank my mom she was a special ed teacher, and we played with her kids. They were severely disabled. She didn't say, you can't play with them. She said, get over here and play. She was absolutely amazing with that. And that is a gift we give our kids. So yes. And now I'm going to shut up and keep going because we have so much to talk about. But thank you for asking that. You're a sweetheart. Thank you. Anastasia, reparations may not. Oh, you're always translate my diatribe. So thank you, ma'am. Oh, I skipped somebody. Sorry, Anton. 90%, Anton, 90% of all white people came to this country after slavery. So a good majority of people don't have the bigoted ideology. So they just leech off the system. I think what you're trying to say is like they don't really know how things went down. And tell me if I'm wrong, Anton. I don't want to speak for you. I hate misrepresenting people. I wish I had a way to talk to people. But yeah. I mean, it's true. And people are so narcissistic in general that they don't realize how bad off everyone else is really doing because they're thinking about themselves. Anastasia, you always translate my diatribes, so thank you. Oh, I'm trying. I wish I was better at it because you have. That's why you need to come on this show. Reparations may not mean anything to you, but the reparations is capital to rebuilding our neighborhoods, schools, businesses. Dr. Claude Anderson spoke about the 5 pillars of wealth, and money is necessary. This country has always given us symbolism, but no substance. Absolutely. And personally, reparations do mean I'm 100 billion, trillion, gazillion % pro reparations. Oh my God. But that's not my business. My business is to support what you want, not to say what should be. That's not my place. Not even close. But yeah, no, I'm always the reparations thing. My God, way past time. But yeah, let me read what else you had to say. This country has always given us symbolism. In other words, talk's cheap. Yep. And no substance. It took nothing to let us eat or drink with white people. But when King spoke about economic equity, he was killed. Absolutely. It's the point of the night. Yeah. They'll do everything in name, covert. Racism's changed a lot. And for white folks that don't know that, it's a process to learn. And again, for white people, it's a process. We'll go our entire lives not getting there. I will never get this, but I will live till the moment I take my last breath trying. I will never get this because I will never be a person living in this society that's all based on white supremacy. I'll never be a person who's not white living in it. And so because of that, I don't know if I said that right, but I think you know what I meant. Because of that, I will never get there. It's a lifelong journey. And the first step for white people is drop our egos at the door. It's not about us. So that's a really tough, I think I say that in a lot of my videos. Yeah, great points on Dr. Anastasia. Neil, Jason Gibbs, anticipation builds for release of Robert Mueller's report on his Russia probe. HIC Chairman Adam Schiff issued a warning of a showdown with Congress if the report is not made public. I want to learn more about that. Because I really, if he doesn't make it public, that's insane. That's just crazy if he doesn't. He's kept everybody in the dark, and he's done a great job of that. But it's time for some transparency. Let me see. Katrina, people, people from moving up the, okay, I'm so sorry how it cuts you guys off. People from moving up the financial ladder is racist when Black people not pulling together it just helps us not to see what togetherness can do. Yeah, it's everything, Katrina, this is the hardest thing that I personally, as a white person, had to learn. The hardest thing is, and this is going to sound really strange to people, that it was all on purpose. When I was a little kid, when I was 6 and 7, I mean, I was really little, but I thought, they just don't understand. They just don't get what they're doing, that they're hurting people. I was like the little dork, like, yeah, they do. As I got older, I finally realized, like, this was all on purpose. Nothing was by accident. And that was probably the hardest thing for me to just digest, is that this was done on purpose. So I hope I'm speaking to what you're kind of, gosh, I'm getting fantastic comments. Katrina, I'm glad your mom and, I lost you there. I think I know what you're saying. Beanamy, I'd love to add you as a friend and answer any questions that you may have. Please let me know how to contact you and I will. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Thank you. I would be thrilled. I have just really, really fast, and I want to get back to this testimony stuff. I run a large page called Angry Soccer Mom. You can get to me through there. I run a group of just like 5,000. That is an educational group only for people who want to teach and people who want to learn. And it's for everyone to teach and learn, because it's supposed to teach majority member people what it's like to be in a historically marginalized group. Now, the group, that group is closed right now because it got attacked, and it's a long story, but that group has Muslim Americans, has white people, black people, Quakers, homeless people, wealthy people, poor people, uneducated people, very educated people. It has Palestinians and Israelis. It has everything. And the goal in that group is to teach and become friends, because no one is going to let this government do horrible things to their friends. And if you've never met a person of the Muslim faith, you will there, and you will become friends. I have met some of the most incredible friends of my entire life there. And I have women, transgender women, we have everybody in the LGBTQ community, we have, you name it, we have it. And we all get together and we talk and we become friends, because nobody is going to let a friend, when somebody says, oh, well, those Muslims, you're going to say, I know 3 Muslims and that's not how they are. You're going to stand up for your friends. So that's one of my groups. And then I do the YouTube and I do the live show, and I'm so confused, but please get a hold of me. It's called Angry Soccer Mom. And while I'm at it, I'm going to kind of ask people, if you know anyone who wants to join my YouTube channel. I'm trying to build an audience so I can get to the white people. I know that sounds so weird, but I don't have any left on my, I have a few left on my stuff, but I need to get to people through, and you know what? My YouTube channel is not for everybody. If you're a Black person and you live this all day long, like hell, you want to go watch videos and educate. Some people glean something from it and they love it. I personally love educating, and I'm a white person, and I should, because it's my responsibility. White folks need to teach other white folks. It is not people who are in historically oppressed groups' responsibility to teach the oppressor. It's our responsibility. So I hope I'm on a rampage here, as usual. So I hope that helped. But please join my YouTube channel. Get any like-minded friends. If you have white friends that are kind of not getting this, bring them on. It's pretty intense. My YouTube videos are intense, but they're real and they're the truth. And if people could just drop their egos and just care, it'd be good. Anton, you said write for something, but I'm blabbing. And Lakeisha, you said yes, very true, and I'm blabbing too much. Oh, Katrina, I'm glad your mom and dad had an impact on making such a wonderful. Oh, thank you. And thank you so much. No worries about the typos. Everybody does it because they're like, you should see what I do. But thank you so much. The number one thing in my life that I can do, and it's been a crazy life, is to raise children that are good citizens. And that means they get this stuff. And you should see my old, I have a younger little girl who's not quite ready yet for all this. And, you know, we're doing it, but my biggest kids, oh my God, they're nails. I'm so proud of them in that regard. Just so proud. Because dang, they're good. They're better than I ever could be they will not. One thing I want to do is raise my kids. They will never do nothing and stand there while their fellow human is being abused. And that's one thing they really seem to get. So that makes me proud. So I'm going to shut up because I want to read a little bit more. Let me see. Thank you, Katrina. That was really sweet. Lakeisha, covert and overt racism is their narcissistic personality. It's definitely seems to be like something like that. I wish I knew the truth. I don't get it. I really don't. Learning social justice. You can't give reparations without giving them to everyone. That includes the Chinese, Mexicans, Native Americans, and white indentured servants. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of that? I thought a lot of people have had reparations. Personally, I know people whose ancestors were put into, were enslaved, haven't. But you guys help me out. Answer to that. I understand what you're saying. Right. I just feel like it depends on who raises them, because some of the older white people were raised by Black women, so it's just crazy to me. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It really does matter. It really does matter who raises you, because even though my parents didn't teach me anything, I was never afraid of Black people. I didn't get a lot of things. I was kind of like ignorant. I didn't get, why do they live in, why does the TV always show people on Black men in cuffs? When I was little, I'm kind of old, my parents would watch the 11 o'clock news, and this is in one of my videos, and I'd sneak down and take a peek, and I didn't know what I was looking at, but I'd see Black men lined up in cuffs with their eyes with this thing over them, so you couldn't tell who they were, like their real identity. I'd see like 5 or 6 Black men every night lined up on the 11 o'clock news. And what's that going to tell a little 4-year-old? I mean, that's a terrible thing to do, because the media would, the media was trying to keep white supremacy going, and that kind of thing. It's a crazy, crazy thing, but yeah, it does matter. Let me just see here. It's just so crazy to me. And Michael is just letting people know that Trump is a person, that it's not his way. If it's not his way, it's no way. And I know you will make it to the top. I will share as much as, oh, thank you. You are so sweet. Thank you so much. I just want to make a difference. My goal in life, you guys are going to think this is crazy. It's a goal between me, myself, and I, okay, because I have like 20 personalities. My goal is to take my last breath and say, Kim, that's me. You did everything you could do as a human being to try to help and make the world a better place. That's all I want. It's not to be anyone's this, that, or the other. I just want to be able to say to myself, you lived a good life that mattered. I want my life to matter. So sorry, I'm getting all emotional. Let's get back into, the Japanese were the only ones that got reparations. Okay. Yeah. All right. And I think, didn't Jewish people get I'm the worst. I need you guys to keep me going. All right. So back to Cohen. So it seemed like Cohen's testimony was an attempt to make as clear as humanly possible that Trump was a co-conspirator in all these criminal schemes. Oh, in the USA. Okay, I get it. Got it. Thanks, Learning Social Justice. I count on you. Thank you. Okay. Cohen named this is kind of huge. Did you guys hear this? Cohen named the CFO as having been there in the discussions with the payoffs. So that's huge. I mean, I think that's huge. So this is a huge moment, I think, because pointing out that the person who handles the company's finances was aware that the candidate was ordering illegal hush money. That's pretty huge. Cohen actually quoted, in the office with me was Alan Weisselberg, and he said his name a bunch of times, the chief financial officer of the Trump Organization. And that's a quote from him. So people are going to have a heyday looking at all this stuff. Trump signed a check to reimburse Cohen for the hush money while he was in office. I just thought that should be really made crystal clear. Yeah, Vietnamese, that's what I thought too. That's not true. Jewish, Japanese, Native Americans, and even a small amount of Italians have received reparations. Black people, nothing, despite slavery, Jim Crow, the current system of benign neglect is a nice way to put it. I'd say complete abuse and crimes against humanity. That's what I had read, but I'm not the all-knowing. So I thought that Black people whose ancestors were forced into, for their ancestors were forced into slavery and forced to work for free as non-humans. I know they were never given reparations. They were never given the 40 acres and mill. They were never given, this and that and whatnot. I thought they were one of the only ones that did not get it. And as a non-historian person, I'm like a teacher, I guess. Actually, I'm special ed teacher, which is kind of funny because I work with white folks trying to teach them, how to understand all this. So it's kind of, I just laugh at myself. But yeah, citation, please. Yeah, you guys, I can try to get more into that. But so anyway, Jordan, the ranking Republican on the committee, is suggesting Cohn is doing, he had suggested during this, in the middle of this, that Cohn was doing all this stuff because he wanted retribution for not getting a job at the White House. So that was his excuse. I mean, the Republicans in this thing today they didn't care anything about what Trump did or it wasn't all about Trump. It was just trying to malign Cohen and make him this horrible, horrible, lying, awful person, which I'm having no doubt that he probably is. But I don't know that, I mean, let's just be real. When people lie, they're not always liars. What is true and what is not, we don't know. But they were just hammering it home. Let me just see. Retribution, Lakeisha, retributions are coming to these racist, greedy folks. Brea, when Trump was trying to just not be found out. Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is just insane. I mean, honestly. But so Cohen said that was absolutely not true. In fact, he said that he was offered a job at the White House and he turned it down. Now, I don't know what that was. A lot of people were saying, oh, yeah, right. But anyway, that's definitely, they were just doing everything they could to try to make him this just horrific lying, but Mark Meadows got to have a turn, and he did, this is what I really wanted to talk about with you guys, the most classic, cliche, racist denial I have ever seen in my entire life. And I made an immediate post about it and said something like, did I just hear a congressperson use a classic cliche racist denial in the testimony saying that Trump had a black employee? I was like, what? Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. That's like, and then later I heard he got like hell for that, which anyway, for those of you who don't know who Mark Meadows is, he's the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, which means he's essentially like a Tea Party supporter. But he said, okay, this is I'm going to get through like a kind of a quote from him. Here's a black woman who works for Donald Trump. I guess somebody flew her in. How do you reconcile the fact that she is here when you're accusing Trump of being racist? I was like, mind equals blown. I almost fainted. I wrote this post and I put, I'm sorry, but did I just hear that Representative Meadows just used that he has a black employee excuse for why Trump couldn't be racist? I was like, oh my God. I thought maybe I was dreaming. Let me take some the enemy. In addition to land and other grants, Native Americans have been rewarded by the Obama administration for harms against them. That's true. Brea, right? Like, what was he thinking? But that's him feeling like he has the right. Yeah, I mean, I was like, oh my God. And just entitled man says what? Entitled white man says, I was disgusted. I was embarrassed. Not like because I think he represents white people or that I have any connection in that way, but I was embarrassed for him as a human. Like, oh my God. And so I actually, it's like, did he just say that? But anyway, the settlements mark, this is the enemy. The settlements mark the end of a push for the Obama administration to resolve what the U.S. says is more than 100 lawsuits totaling more than $3.3 billion brought by American Native Indian individuals of the enemy. Yes, but there's no way to right the wrong of what I believe is a genocide of 100 million Native Americans. Of course not. Yeah, I mean, of course not. He just kept he just kept, Brea, he just kept going, and me too. So what did you guys, that guy, that guy, what did you think? Like, seriously? I don't know. Tell me what you think of this character, Meadows. Yeah, the Chinese Exclusion Act, where are the reparations? And I get that. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Okay, so what did you guys think after Meadows said that? That was a like jaw-dropping moment. Jaw-dropping moment. And learning social justice, I can get back and you guys can talk about it online. I'm going to try to stick to this because it's getting really late and we haven't even gotten to the good stuff. Yeah, we have a little bit. But throughout the testimony, Cohn said, he kept saying everything was done with the knowledge and the direction of Mr. Trump. And the Republicans kept saying people shouldn't listen to anyone who lies, which was kind of ridiculous since Cohn said he found it interesting that not one Republican lawmaker had asked any questions about President Trump. Well, they don't want to know the truth. They just want to discredit him. And here's the craziest part of it all. The president himself, and we all know this already, has been documented as a total liar 8,000 times in his presidency alone. I even read a report on it's a psychology write-up that explained why it's become exponential. His lying has gotten more and more. And it was like this crazy psychological thing. And it was very interesting. Cohn warned Republicans, and this was the part that got me. And I know, Anastasia, you're going to be like, Kim. He warned the Republicans that what they were doing right now by defending this racist man was precisely what Cohn did, and that they will regret it. And that was a theme that came up over and over. So, I mean, okay, that sucked me in a little. Okay, I'm just saying, because his life's destroyed. And JS, hello, thank you for being here. And he did it to himself, but he was trying to say, and that's something I can say he was right. What the Republicans are doing is pathetic. They're defending a hateful, inhumane sicko. And that makes them hateful, inhumane sickos. I'm sorry. Katrina, when Cohn was testifying in favor of Republicans, they were praising him. And when he spoke the truth, the disconnect spoke volumes. I thought it was shameful Trump constituents tried to cover up his racism. Absolutely. It's disgusting. It's immoral. I'm not talking about religion. It's inhumane. Brea. But he just wants to keep bringing up what Michael Cohn did, and Trump did the same. Yeah, it was a very weird scenario, wasn't it? I found it to be really weird. It was like, I felt like the Republicans were robots almost. They were robots. Just like almost like cult-like. Lakeisha, 3 years is no time that he got. He's going to be in and out. Yeah, I know. Xfen, thank you for being here. Hello. I hope you're having an amazing, I am having an amazing day. If you're talking to me, yes, I am. Brea, he was mad, girl. Yeah, it's just crazy. I just don't get it. So thank you for saying that about the amazing day. There's nothing I want to do more than talk about this stuff. And I'm just hoping this gets to some of the white folks that need to hear it. This is kind of a lot. And normally our shows, the live shows that we do, me and my 10 personalities, are actually, you guys talk about whatever you want. And I have an agenda a little bit in case nobody shows up or something. But you guys get to bring up some. Today is very, very different than normal just because of this crazy stuff coming out. Cohn's warning Republicans about they're going to regret supporting him. They are going to be looked at as like Nazis. History is going to tear them apart for what they're doing, and as it should. I know they want to stay being politicians and they want to keep the company line going, but there comes a point where you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, my God, who am I? And these people are nowhere close to that. It's unbelievable. I'm going to do the most horrible thing. I'm going to skip out on people going back and forth, their comments about the reparations, because we can look into that. And that was supposed to say, oh, Neil, I skipped you. Meadow, in my opinion, was trying to prove Trump was not a racist because he has Black people working for him, probably servants and maids and janitors. Well, we all know what Trump is doing to his Latino and some of the Mexican people who work for him. He set up, there's a whole, I mean, a lot goes under the radar because Trump's continuously doing these horrible things. But I was reading about a case which I actually wrote about in one of the other live shows, but I didn't get to. He fired a ton of people who worked for him for years and years. And the Trump administration is under investigation for having made green cards for them and immigration papers that are fake, that Trump knew about, all Trump's people who worked there knew about, and then he fired them as a statement. I mean, he's a very bad man. He's a very bad man. Let me just see who Neil, I hope I probably servants. Oh, absolutely. Message retracted. Okay. Xfengenex. I feel in my gut a big, horrible change in America is coming, like the Holocaust. Anyone feel that same way? Yes, I do. I feel that same way personally. Anyone else? The reason I think that is because we have been divided to the point where the people who are pro-Trump, they won't listen to reason. They won't listen to humanism. They literally are letting fear destroy them. And the fear mixed with the ignorance, mixed with the hatred, mixed with their past, with, how they were raised. It's just such an ugly. In a seminar I do, I actually go over all the things that push white folks into being racist as hell. And it's not just the culture. There's so many other crazy things. Let me go on here. So Cohen noted that he had a wonderful life and he volunteered to work for Trump. He didn't have to, and he did it to himself, and he lost it all. He basically said that the people who are still supporting his racist, bigoted, inhumane agenda will come to regret it, as he has. And he said that in his testimony. Cohen said that one of the turning points for him, because some of the questions to him were, what were the turning points? What made you, and I'm not really sure, maybe getting caught made him, I'm not 100% clear on that, but he had some things to say about that. Cohen said that the turning point for him was he did not want to be, when he didn't want to be associated with Trump anymore, was Trump's behavior at Helsinki and his response to Charlottesville, and basically watching the daily destruction of our civility. Is he lying? Is he making up stuff? I have no idea. That's what he said. Cohen said it was one thing to lie on behalf of a New York City businessman that was, kind of a mob type dude, but it was completely a different thing when he had to lie on behalf of the President of the United States. And again, I'm not saying I believe him. This is what he said in his testimony. Cohen said he could see the impact of his lies and the divisiveness that his lies were getting out to the public and helping to continue the divide in this country. And so he says he started blaming himself. When asked, this is kind of interesting, Cohen was asked if Trump ever roughed up people, like, beat the shit out of them. And Cohen said, no, he didn't. He would use other people to intimidate people. Probably didn't want to get hurt. But Cohen said that Trump never threatened people with physical harm. he would use his employees for that. Brings to mind the now a woman, once little girl who had lawsuits, credible lawsuits that Trump raped her as a child at a party with a pedophile that he was hanging out with, and a known pedophile who's been convicted. And right before Trump was going to be in office, she was going to make a statement, the now woman, and a couple of people who were witnesses decided to step up to the plate. And then one day before, something happened. Somebody threatened her, obviously. They got to her, and she reneged again, and that was it. So, I mean, he clearly has, it's just like mob stuff. Cohen said he uses his employees. Everyone's job at the Trump organization was to protect Mr. Trump. That's exactly what is happening here in the government as we speak. And that was Cohen was saying this. Like, I'm watching you guys do exactly what his employees do. And the Republicans really were doing that. Cohen reckons that President Trump asked him to threaten people or do like things on his behalf more than 500 times. Now, believe it, don't believe it, but that was what Cohen said in his testimony. The House committee asked Cohen how messages to lie were conveyed. Like, how did you know Trump wanted you to lie? And Cohen said it was a strange thing. Cohen said essentially it was like saying Trump conveyed the desire to lie, but he never would explicitly say it. Cohen said some of the questions were difficult to answer because the way Trump spoke to people was kind of obliquely and he didn't give direct orders. He kind of, he said, here's a quote. He doesn't give you questions. He doesn't give you orders. He speaks in code. And this is a quote from Cohen. And I understand the code because I've been around him for decades. Yeah, so that was kind of an interesting thing. The question came up about, and we'll talk about this in just a minute, about, let me take some people. Neil, yes, we are headed for a Holocaust if we are not careful. I know I keep repeating it, but do you think FEMA housing communities, what do you think FEMA housing communities are for? I've seen their prisons and people need to research it. Neil had a syndicated show for 20 years in America, and he is my friend and a mentor as well. And he has done some amazing, amazing things in his life, and he knows about FEMA. And yeah, Neil knows what he's talking about. Okay, Xenex. I read a lot of articles that the children of immigrants were molested while separated from their families, and I'm not sure it's 100% true, but I believe it. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh my God. That was what the first thing I was going to do for this show was going to be that today and talk about it. And it's true. I've researched the hell out of it for this, for tonight. And I'm going to, at some point, maybe next week, definitely get into it because absolutely. And it's thank you for bringing that up. That was on the agenda. It was going to be the first thing I talked about. But then after this revelation with Colin and all this stuff, I figured people are going to want to talk about that. Katrina, damn the U.S. mob. Yeah. Okay, learning social justice. I'm not sure if this is a conversation for me or not. The U.S. government never oppressed Jews and don't deserve any reparations. And I guess maybe you mean, and they don't deserve any reparations. Okay, and I don't, again, I can try to do research on that. Anastasia, can you help us on that? Pay for reparations to everyone. They've already been paid for reparations. Okay, Anastasia, they were talking about, there's a conversation going on right now in the comments, which I'm actually really glad it is. Learning social justice and some other people are talking about reparations and it's unclear. I thought they've already been paid personally. So that's why I said I'm kind of skipping those now because there's so much to talk about, but definitely please don't take my skipping them as anything other than staying on track. But yeah, Dr. Anastasia knows a lot about this stuff, so help us. I count on everybody to jump in and educate. Okay, so what I'm going to do is talk a little bit right now about Cohen being threatened. Trump is a powerful man, and he's used to getting his way. In my personal opinion, I don't think anyone's ever said no to the guy. That sounds stupid, but it doesn't seem like they have. So the question came up in Cohen's testimony about Trump threatening Cohen. Cohen explained why he felt threatened by Trump in a state. It was like this attack statement on Twitter, as we all know. He's way big into Twitter. He said it has something to do with Trump having 60 million followers, and he referenced Trump's claim that he said he could shoot someone in the middle of the street in like New York City and his followers would still support him. And I absolutely believe that because, as I've said many times, probably too much, his followers will take anything he does and just brush it off. They found their racist that they've been looking for, and he's the man. He had him at racist. The minute they found out he was that racist, it didn't matter what else he did. So here's a quote from Cohen's testimony. He said, "I don't walk with my wife if we go out to a restaurant. I don't walk with my children. I make them walk ahead of me." In fact, this is kind of, he's afraid. In fact, one of the House Representatives, Matt Gaetz, had actually tweeted the night before. Did you guys see that tweet? Did you guys see that tweet that he made? He made a tweet. It was like a threat. Matt Gaetz had actually tweeted last night something like, "Do your wife and kids and father-in-law know about your girlfriends? Maybe tonight would be a good time for that chat. I wonder if your wife will stay faithful to you while you're in prison. She's about to learn a lot." I mean, like, it's kind of a threat. And Katrina, Trump is a bully. Absolutely. And Lakeisha, his followers are absolutely narcissistic. They're, I mean, don't get me started, but I'm going to stick to the topic. The Florida bar has opened an investigation to determine whether this Representative Matt Gaetz, a Republican, violated its conduct rules when he threatened to reveal that that Cohen is having these extramarital affairs, and by a pending congressional witness. So I guess it's against the. Okay, I'll get back into this. I have not followed so far because I was trying to stick to the subject. Anastasia, Kim, I don't suffer fools. If anyone believes that slavery was not a law, I'm done. Let me read where. Okay. Social justice. I am absolutely not understanding what you're saying. And I'm not trying to put you down. I don't get what you're saying. It's not in my repertoire of understanding. So I'm happy to look it up. We have a PhD. We have a PhD person here named Anastasia, and she is, she's really, really, really good. So I didn't really want to get into this online here because I don't get it exactly, and I don't want to. I will definitely be looking up all this stuff, but it was my understanding that Black people whose ancestors were forced to be enslaved for centuries were the one group that did not get a thing. And that's what I've read over and over. I am not a PhD, but that's my reality right now. And so I didn't want to get into that very much, but that's what's been just over and over. And I mean, I watched everything. So if anyone could speak to that, it would be the doctor. That is my last name, not my profession. Just kidding. Okay, sorry. I'm giving you too much Okay, I'm giving you too much credit. I just assumed. Yes, that's what I thought. But so, yeah, so that's going to have to be something between, if you guys want to keep talking about it, it's fine. But I kind of want to go on with this. Sorry, I'm giving you accolades. I'm giving you. I'm calling you the doctor. I'm going to get fired. Anastasia, I have a government policy list of reparations paid to others. Okay. So, all right. I am going to. So, anyway, the Florida bar is looking into this guy for whatever it's worth. This guy who basically tried to out. I don't know if Cohen had affairs, if he didn't. Personally, I don't care. I just want to know what's going to happen with Trump. Trump needs to be out of our lives. He's a sick, sick man. And that is my only wish is I don't even care if he goes to jail personally. I know a lot of people want him punished. I don't care. I want him out of our lives. He is hurting my fellow. Oh, I'm feeding your ego. Okay, good. Good. Okay. He is hurting my fellow brothers and sisters, and it makes me sick. He's a sick, sick man, and I hate him for it. And I want him out of our lives. I don't care if he goes to jail. I don't care what happens to him. He needs to leave. One huge thing that the public got from Cohen's testimony was that suggestion that, and this was classic. Thank you, Anastasia, doctor. And again, learning social justice, I know you were very, very informed as well. So I didn't want to, I'm not trying to put anyone down. I'm just going to stick to the concept here because this is the only show probably I'll have for a long time that isn't all about all the other, stuff that everybody wants to talk about. I just figured I'd stick with this because it was so huge. But I had 10 things planned for tonight, actually 10 huge topics. Oh, Heriberto. Hello, welcome. Nice to have you here. Welcome to the show. We are talking about the testimony today of Michael Cohen in front of the House committee. And one of the things that he hinted to very, very purposefully, Cohen did, was a suggestion that he had knowledge of other potential illegal acts by Trump, but he said he could not discuss them, and he couldn't discuss them. That was kind of from the beginning. Hello. Here's something new I didn't know. It's that Cohen says the President of the United States, a year into his term, called him and asked him to directly lie about his own involvement and knowledge with Trump's involvement with Daniels payment. So I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that he says, he actually said that Trump said he wanted Cohen's testimony today, said that Trump, while he was the president, asked him to lie on his behalf about the Daniels payments. So Trump actually asked him that. And if you believe what he said, Les, you're back. I thought you were going to sleep. Welcome back. Keep this in mind. This all took place while Trump was president. So that was, I didn't realize he did that if we believe that it's to be true. And again, it probably is because, like I said, Cohen has nothing to gain by lying and everything to lose. They can prosecute him. So here's another part of the testimony that people believe is an impeachable offense, if true. Cohen says that he was in Trump's office when he received a phone call, and try to follow. This is kind of from Roger Stone. Mr. Stone said that he had just spoken with Julian Assange of WikiLeaks and that there was going to be a big email revelation by WikiLeaks in the near future. It's worth noting that Cohen claims that this phone call occurred shortly before the presidential debate in which Trump asked Russia if they were listening. Hello, Russia, are you listening? Could you find Hillary's lost emails? So we need to note that that's going to be something that they're going to be looking into. And I think it's going to be huge. I think it's absolutely going to be huge. Another part of the testimony was Cohen saying he had remorse for lying to Melania. And Cohen says that Trump asked him to purposefully mislead Trump's wife, Melania, about the situation. Cohen said he did lie directly to the First Lady, Melania Trump, about the payments, and he apologized to her later in person because he felt bad about that. Believe him? Don't believe him? I have no clue. So this thing's just gotten crazy. I want to know, is there anything that I skipped that anybody wants to talk about? Kim, do you have a tongue ring? No. I got my ears pierced when I was 27. I was terrified. I was like, no, nothing. Why do I seem like it? No. And why would you be asking me that? That's funny. No. Do not. No. But anyway, I hope I didn't skip anybody. Daryl, Les, 45 is pissed. I haven't been following it all because I've been here, but it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. So, in kind of just trying to wrap it up a little bit, in conclusion, only 1 or 2 questions by the Republicans were asked about actual Trump. People who are still supporting him, they don't care anymore. They have blind loyalty, and it's going to be to their demise. Almost everything was directed by the Republicans at this guy's character assassination of Cohen. But we definitely got a feel for what's going on behind closed doors. And for some of the investigative journalists, some of these stories, oh my God, they are going to look into these things. They are going to be, you guys, seriously, stuff is coming down. It has to be. And I know people have been saying that forever, but I mean, the Mueller report's supposed to be coming out. And the information that I heard today from Cohen's testimony, I mean, it gave tons of things for people to look into. The investigative journalists, the lawyers, the people investigating. I mean, it was a ton. They must have been going crazy. Okay, let me just see. Neil, I skipped out. The passage of the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which abolished slavery, except as a punishment for criminal acts, made irrelevant, in my opinion. That was the law. Okay, I'm missing the conversation because I'm blabbing on and on trying to wrap up the actual stuff, and I apologize. Let me just look over here. There's a big difference between, and I'm not going to get into this, but big difference between chattel slavery and indentured servitude. And I know you guys know that. And I get into it in my Irish video that I do. But I wanted to say, I can't thank you enough for being here and just listening. Normally, the conversation for this live show is anything that has to do with anything you want to talk about, racism, bigotry, and inequality in America that you think is relevant, we'll talk about. And usually I have 10 different things to say. But for today, I figured after this incredibly telling testimony that maybe people would want kind of an overview of it and get to talk about it a little bit. But normally, I promise, we talk about whatever you guys want to. And if nobody talks, then I blab about whatever topics, were up in the news and try to just kind of clarify that. But I wanted to say in closing, I can't thank you enough for being here. This means the world to me. My goal, as I say at the beginning, is to get people talking and help get a heterogeneous group together that can talk about this and actually survive talking about it, to show other white people it is way past time. White folks start giving a shit about their fellow humans and understanding that we need to learn our own racial history. and it's not going to be pretty. And thanks, Anton. Thank you to everybody, absolutely everybody, social justice, learning social justice, Anastasia, Neil, I could just go right down the line, Anton, Leslie, I could just name everybody. I always pronounce this wrong, I apologize, Hervierto. Just, you guys have been amazing. And what I wanted to do is just close by thanking everybody, and saying next week, back at our regularly scheduled time. I literally have 15 topics. I want to talk about the horrific sexual abuse that has occurred and has come out in a report of the migrant kids that were ripped from basically stolen from their own parents. It's sick. I had 10 things planned for tonight. So, oh my gosh, we are going to talk and talk. If you truly believe, like I do, that it is way past time for white Americans to take some racial responsibility, please support me by bringing friends and people to my YouTube channel, bringing them to the show, anyone who wants to talk. It's not for everybody, but if you think it's for you, and you think what I'm doing is a good thing, please support me. I will be very appreciative, I promise. And definitely message me. Go on to Angry Soccer Mom page, message me for my YouTube. I have no shame. I will beg people to join my YouTube. I am done. Like, the problems we have with racism in America are horrific. There's nothing more important than stopping this. And white people aren't going to be the saviors, but God forbid we actually give a you-know-what and support our brothers and sisters who are Black, brown, indigenous, African-American, and mixed of just, we got to do this. So please support me in educating white people to get on board. Black people and people of color are going to get their equality all right. They're doing it. They don't need a savior. But I feel strongly that it's way past time. So I'll stop blabbing. I will say good night. And thank you so much for your support. So message me and say hi to me and ask any questions that you have. I'm absolutely happy to answer. This means the world to me. So I'll say good night, and I will see you next week or online. Thanks, everybody.